Yeah. Are you based in the East Coast?
I'm based in Dallas, so it's
Okay.
Central Time over here,
Nice.
11 o'clock.
Yeah. So I don't have my camera on because it messes with the stream a bit.
Oh, you're good. I
Yeah.
just figured I'd have mine on just so you could see
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
face.
No problem. Let's see. So Dallas, Texas. Previously worked as a backend dev for nearly 4 years. Pretty cool. So you have some experience. Solved around 75 leak code. Cool. Are you? Do you have a traditional degree or are you self-taught?
No, I have an associate's, but I'm mainly self-taught. I kind of got my
Nice.
way in the industry by like making prototype video games and apps and stuff, and that kind
Nice.
of got my foot in the door. Yeah.
Cool. So what got you to start to do leak code?
Um, I wanted to make a change. I had some life events happen, and I was like, I, I'm tired of being in Dallas. I'd like to move to the Bay Area if possible. So decided to hit the grind and start leak coding.
Yeah. What makes you want to move over to the Bay Area instead of Dallas?
My dream is becoming a game developer and having my own studio in the long run.
Mm.
So I think I was thinking about it, and logically, I should put myself in the place where it's most likely to happen. And San Francisco has like the most concentration of game developers in the country. Like it's one of the biggest game developer hubs in the country. Like I'd love to go to GDC, Game Developers Conference, or meet up at
Mm.
the indie meetups and stuff. Like I just want to kind of drown myself in that environment.
Yeah. Well, that's I didn't know they had that many, or I didn't know they did a lot of game developers out here, or they had a lot of game developers out here.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like Gears of War, Halo, like 343, all those studios are there. It's a pretty big hub. I don't
Nice.
know if I would want to work for those studios. Like I'm not a big work-life balance is a huge priority for me. But
Mm.
I would love to be in that area just so I could start meeting more people that kind of want to do the same thing I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly why I moved here as well. So, how are you doing with LeetCode so far? How's that experience for you been learning and getting ramped up with LeetCode?
Um, Ups and downs. I'm not like I still think it's kind of dumb, not gonna lie. Like when I first started, when I first started this, I thought I would never be good at it, and I thought it was really dumb. And like whiteboarding, I was always bad at, and I've definitely made way more progress. I'm definitely better at it. Um, but I still have lot more to go, right? Still have a lot more progress to make. I'm just getting started, I guess. So
Yeah. Is it still frustrating going through it?
not as much. I'm able to like figure out solutions to questions pretty easily from the jump. Um, can be like backtracking still gets me going sometimes. Like I can get very confused pretty quickly with that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
ups and downs.
Okay. What sort of companies are you targeting, by the way? Because that will help me figure out what kind of question I'm gonna ask.
Um, I don't have a particular company. Like, uh, work-life balance is my biggest priority in the location. I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to work for Fang, if possible, but also I wouldn't mind just working for like a Target or a Chase or something like smaller in that area that pays well, and I'm not working like crazy hours,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Awesome. Cool. All right. That gives me enough context to figure out the first question. Are you? Or I sent you the link in our chat, by the way, to get on to.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
okay, I'm here.
Cool. So, what programming language do you want to use?
Python's great.
Nice. Cool. All right. So, we're going to get into the first question. What I
Okay.
want you to do is write me some code that is going to move all the zeros to the end of an array while maintaining the relative order of the non zero elements.
Okay. Give me an array. So 0, 1, 0, 3, 12. We're just moving all the zeros to the end in place, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Let me write down some notes, assumptions, and stuff before I start.
Sure.
Uh, let's see. So first thing, any questions that are popping up at me? If the array has no zeros, do I just return the original array?
Yeah. Because there will be nothing to move, right?
Yeah. Um, see if there's anything else. You said it has to be in place. Um, do we have like a length? Is there a max length the array can be?
It could be any size, maybe
Any
up
size?
to. Let's look at the traits. It could be up to 10,000. How would that affect your design?
Um, well, we definitely wouldn't want to try to do something where we're going over each input if it's going to be something like up to 10,000, right? We wouldn't want to go over each number to check if it's 0 and then move it to the end. Um, so we'd probably like want to find a better way to do it if the array could be up to 10,000. I
It could
guess O
be
of n is
up,
still fine in that case though, right?
up to. Well, like, how would we know? How would we make sure we don't miss any zeros if we don't look at every single element? Is it possible?
That's a good question. I guess not. No, you could like use a you could use like a counter data structure that would count the amount of zeros, but if you look deeper in that function, you're still going over each number. Like when you initialize a counter structure, you would still be going over each number. So at the moment I'm not thinking of a way that you would be able to do that. Um, so yeah, I guess we're gonna have to. Would O of n be fine? Is that a fine kind of
Hmm. I think so.
speed?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. I'll go ahead and I always like to ask these three questions. Is it possible we can have any null values? Could the array be null?
No.
No null. Okay.
No. No. So.
And then could we have any like malformed inputs? So like, could I be tossed a string or like an array of strings or something like that?
No. We could assume that the input is well formed. Good question.
And can the array be empty?
Yeah. The array could be empty.
Cool. Okay. Cool. That's all the questions I have. Let me go ahead and start thinking of a plan. So first solution that's popping out at me, we could do a two-pointer solution. We could have one pointer at the end of the array, uh, and then every time we find a zero, while we use the, sorry, let me start over. Two-pointer solution. The first pointer would be at the beginning of the array. As it's going over each number, if it sees a zero, it then switches that zero with the pointer at the end of the array, and then the pointer at the end of the array moves up more. Um, that's the first solution I'm thinking of.
So you're gonna have like one pointer here and one pointer here. How would that look like?
Yeah, so that's
One.
exactly it. We'd have one pointer there, one pointer there. We'd have like a loop that goes over each number. When it hits this zero, it would then it would then switch that zero input with this 12, and then we would move this pointer up one as well. Um,
Okay. So we get this.
correct.
Okay. And then what happens for the one here?
So we would then see if it's a zero or not. It's not a zero, so I think we would keep moving this pointer up one.
Hmm.
We'd see this is a zero. Uh,
Hmm.
so we would switch this with the three at the other pointer's location.
Okay.
And then once they've crossed or equal the same, we'd exit out the loop.
Okay. So would that algorithm break any of the requirements up here?
I don't think so. It should be in place, right? Because we're taking the index. We have two pointers that have the indexes, and all we're doing is switching the indexes, right?
Hmm.
We're not creating a new array. Um,
What about this line?
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see the relative order part. Okay. Um, we want to keep them relatively the same. I think this should, let me just go over an example. So 0 here, we switch this 12. Pointer will move up here.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. It won't maintain the relative order. So yeah, just curious on your strategy for making sure it
Yeah.
maintains.
Yeah, if that's the case, then maybe the two-pointer solution would not work if we want to make sure the order is the same. Um, Trying to think of what would be a better way to do this. Maybe would a stack work here? Could we go over the array, um, and then once we see a 0, we switch it with the last index, and then if it's not a 0, we store it in a stack, um, and then output. So that maintains the order, maybe. I think there's another.
So you think using a stack?
Possibly. I'm kind of more thinking out loud, but yeah, maybe a stack could possibly solve that for us, right? Because we maybe both, because we'd have the two pointers, and then we'd switch out when we see a 0. When we don't see a 0, we add it to the stack. Um, and then after we've switched out the correct value, oh, but then no, we still wouldn't keep the in order, the relative order. I guess, well, no, we could, because then afterwards we could just go back to the beginning and use our pop off the stack one by one, because we know the end will have zeros, right?
So what would the stack look like? Would you able to walk me through how your algorithm would work with the stack?
Yeah, sure. So uh, we'd still have the two pointers.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to a 0, we'd switch out the 0 with the other pointer, our end pointer. So 12 and 0 would switch. Um, and then once we get to 1, we we'd put that in the stack. 0, we'd switch again. I guess when we say relative order, because even with, like, we have this 12 and 0 here, if we would want the 12 to be, did we still want the 12 to be in front of the 3 even after we switch it with a 0?
Yep. So if you look at line 9 here, you'll see the expected output. See one, the order is still 1, 3, and 12.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, then that's not going to work.
I think the two pointer is promising. We just think of different ways that we could do this two pointer.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, like what are the different ways you go? You can put them both at one in the front, one in the back. That's the first one, but that didn't work. Where are other ways that we can add the pointers?
um, could we do one in the I guess we would want one like in front. Uh, I don't know. I'm sorry. Let me think a little bit more on that. Because you could have like maybe the first pointer in front of the 3, right? Because after that, you know for sure. Because you want the 12. we could have one pointer at the zero and then like maybe just another pointer ahead, um, or at the first whole number that's not, or the number that's not a zero. So
So like this.
yeah, kind of like that. And then we would, once we come across once we have that, we can just switch these two. Well, no, because then that won't be at the end. Um, hmm. Oh, we could just have one at like, because what we want to do is we want to grab the first whole number that's not a zero, and then we want to make sure we switch that with a zero. And we want to keep doing that to keep the order, right? So we could have the first pointer at the one, and then the next pointer at whatever zero we have, or the way we have it now. Um, then we move the one. I guess we would put the zero at the end. But then how would we use two pointers for that? Or why would we use two pointers for that? Because at that point we're, no, that actually, yeah, actually. So if we have two pointers, one zero and one at the first whole number we find, once we find a zero, we just put that at the end. We don't need a pointer to know where the end of the array is, right? Um, and then we put the one in that position. And then we keep going until we find another whole number and another zero. Um, and we just do that again, right? Does that make sense? So like if we have,
Yeah. Could you explain it to me, or just show like simulate it for me, just to make sure
yeah, so
it
we would
actually works.
have, so we'd have a first pointer, um, and then we'd have a second pointer. Um, the first pointer would, uh, I say, would find the first zero, and then the second pointer would find the first whole number. Um, now that we have those two things, we can just take the zero, put it at the end of the array, and then move the one to that pointer's place. So it would be one. So then, yeah, so this one would go to the zero's location,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then the zero would go at the end. After that, we would then move up the pointer that we used to find the zero. We would move it up until we found another one, which would be here.
Okay, so
So
one flips with zero,
yeah,
and then
and I'm sorry, it wouldn't even flip the one in the zero. We'd use the zero pointer to find where the zero is, but we wouldn't move the zero there. We would just move it to the end of the array, right? Because we just need to keep the original order. So um, so we'd move the zero here,
okay.
and then uh, yeah, so it would be like that, right? So 1 0 3 12 0. Then from there we would just move the pointer until we found another zero, and then we would move this pointer until we found another whole number. So this would move up to um,
So what's
3.
the cost of moving that to the back of the array?
Um, it should be. Oh, actually, I'm not sure what in Python. If we put -1, um, or like length -1 to get the last index, um, would that? I don't know if that would be constant or not. It might not be because we're grabbing the length, right? And that's not constant time.
Yeah. Like when we
Um,
add it to the back, then what would we do? Shift all the other elements one down to the left to make up for.
yeah,
So that would be oven.
yeah, that would be oven. Yeah, which okay, I
Like,
can see that.
let's think about this for a second. Let's see, one or let's go back here. Do we really need to care about if we had the 2 pointers at the front? Do we really need to care about zeros sending zeros to the back, or will they just naturally get there if we just move every all of the non-zeros to the front?
Oh my God, yeah, you're right. Yeah, if we just move the whole numbers to the front, then the zeros would naturally get to the back. Yeah. Um, so if that's the case, we just need a pointer at the front, and then we need a pointer um, at whatever first whole number we find, right? Oh my God, yeah. So we would have 2 pointers. We'd have one here and here. We'd find the one. We'd switch it with the zero. Um, and
The,
then I guess we would move up this pointer.
mm-hmm,
Um, and then we would look. You move this pointer up until we found the next whole number, which would be
mm-hmm,
here. And then we would switch those again. So this would be zero. And this would be a three.
mm-hmm,
And then we'd move up this pointer, and then we'd move up. We'd keep moving up this pointer until we found the next whole number, which would be here.
mm-hmm.
And then we'd switch them again. Oh yeah, that was. Oh man, I was overthinking it.
Okay, go ahead and try it out.
Okay.
Implement.
Want me to start coding it up?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Do we have a function definition, or do I have to make my own?
Yeah, go ahead and make your own, and just let's just confirm with me if it looks good.
Okay. Um, move zeros. Can I move zeros? Do that. Um, okay. So let's see. I usually write a plan so I don't have to get too lost, but let me go ahead and so we're gonna have 2 pointers. So first pointer equals zero. Uh, second pointer equals one. Um, so my typing. The second pointer equals one, and then from there, we also want to make sure the array isn't empty. So, um, or I guess that would check if it's not. Okay, from there, now we're going to want to um, traverse over each thing. So for and array. Let's see the best way to code this, or if I want to do like a while loop or something. Yeah, let's do a while loop actually, instead of going over each while. Um, yeah, oops, yeah. I'll start pointer and um, second pointer, or no, I'll start pointer is less than second pointer, less than or equal. Okay, from there, let's see. Now we're going to actually get into it. So if first, let's see, if let's do this. Oh, yeah, start pointer. Um, if num equals doesn't equal 0. Then we want to keep the start pointer there. Yeah, if num doesn't equal 0. No, actually, sorry. Let's do if because we really want to just move the second pointer. Well, no, we want to make sure the first number could be 0. So let me do, yeah, let's do it this way. Yeah, if num equals 0, then we want to keep moving. So actually, sorry, I'm thinking of something. If we have an array that has a 0 at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And we have our start pointer at 0 and our second pointer at 1. Yeah. We'd want to, in that case, we'd probably want to keep the start pointer as it is and then move up the second pointer. Or I guess we could just check and see if I think, okay, this is what we'll have to do. If num equals 0, we're going to keep it there and then move up. Yeah, keep it there and then we'll move up the second pointer until we'll find a whole number. So num equals 0, we move the do this for better naming. Second pointer. Okay. So while num, actually, no, that won't work. So it'll have to be this second pointer. All array second pointer doesn't or equals 0. We're going to move the second pointer. We're going to plus it +1. So once we found the second pointer that points to a whole number, we would then just switch them out. So it would be
Okay, I'm gonna stop you on this question because I want to get to another question as well. Just
okay.
just so we can focus on more breadth over depth. Let me cancel this out. We're gonna move on to Q2. So what we're being asked here is we're gonna be given two non-negative integers, num1 and num2, representing a string. We just need to return the sum of those two numbers. But we can't just convert those strings into integers and then add them. We need to find a different approach. That makes sense so far?
Yeah. So you must also not convert the inputs to the integers directly. Interesting. So let me look at this first example. We have num1, 1, and then num2, 1, 2, 3. Got you. Okay. And the numbers will be given. Okay, they'll also be represented as a string. And we are not allowed to cast the strings to ints directly.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. Can strings be empty?
Strings can be empty. No, each string will at least have one digit.
Okay. I think. Okay. And I'm assuming there won't be any malformed inputs as well, right? For this.
Yep. The
Okay.
We could assume that there's no leading zeros except for zero itself, so there won't be like zeros like this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only constraints though. Or we let's just assume that it's the input is formed well.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Um, so I'm gonna be honest on this one. This is a weak spot for me. Um, if we can't use any libraries or anything or use casting,
Well,
um,
we can cast digit by digit, but just not the whole number.
oh, we can cast digit by
Yeah,
digit.
yeah, we can cast a digit, one digit by digit.
Okay, that actually makes it a little easier then. Um, and then we want to, okay, so this becomes a little easier. I think we would go by each number. We go character by character. Um, oh, but then like let's say we have something in the hundreds. So I was thinking we could go like say take the one, we cast that into an integer and add it to a total um, on the first example, by the way. And then we take that second integer or character in this case, which would be another one, and then we turn it into an integer and multiply it times 10 to get its, um, or I guess we could just add 10, right? Let me
So
think about it.
pretend we weren't even this wasn't even in code. How would we just add two big digits together usually? Pretend you're giving it in a blank sheet of paper. How would you do it?
Oh, like, um, what's it called? Like where you're like writing down hand-drawn math arithmetic, where you're like
Yeah,
looking at each
are you
place.
able to look at the drawing here? Oh shoot, there's a lot. Look
Uh,
at this. Pretend I
yes.
gave you
Oh, I see the system.
99 plus 102. How would you actually get the final result here? Like how would you just add these up to get the result?
Um, so you would take each digit, right? So the nine and the two, which would be 11. Then like a one would carry over. Oh God, I haven't done this since like high school. Yeah. So how do you draw on this? Is it?
Here. You click 7 or up here. 7
Oh,
on
right.
the
Okay.
top bar.
Yeah. So this would be a one, and then one would carry over. Then you would add that. So one and nine and zero, which would be a 10, and then the one would carry over. So zero. And then you add a one there, so it'd be 201, right? Do I
Yep.
remember that correctly?
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
okay?
Exactly. So yeah, you just add them. Struggling with the drawing. Um, let's go. Like usually, yeah, you just compare the the digits, you add them, and then there's carryover. What? Let's work through another example. Maybe like 67, um, 50. How would this one look?
Uh, Same thing, right? So you would add the 0 and 7,
Maybe
which would
just
be
seven.
7.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 6 and 5, which would be 11. So it'd be 117, right?
Mm. Okay. So yeah, I think if given that information, do you think you could apply that to the code?
To do that in code. Um, yeah, yeah. So I think this time I'm gonna try to write a plan so I don't get too lost in my own thoughts and stuff.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, so the first thing we would want to do, um, we'd want to start a loop that starts from the last character, right? So um, um, and then inside that loop we want to cast both characters into numbers and then add them together. Um, After that, we want to check and see if the number is 10 or higher. If 10 or higher, we would have another variable of some sort that we can call remainder. Um, if 10 or higher, yeah. So then um, we add that to the remainder. So if it's 10 or higher, we add um, remainder equals 1. We get that first character, right? Do we always want that first character? Yeah, we do. Um, and then we go to the next one. The the we move backwards to the next two numbers. Um, Let me think. Oh, the only other thing we'd want to do, right, is do we want to add the numbers here? Let's say 707. Yeah,
Which one are you
um,
thinking about? Example two.
yeah. Oh, that's right. And the numbers are also different lengths as well. So
Yeah, they
it's
can be
another thing
different
to think
lengths.
about. Yeah.
I'll give you a small tip there. Like maybe you could just reverse the two strings,
Reverse them and then go over them. Um,
or to line them up. To if you reverse them, they'd be lined up properly.
so you mean
Like
it would
you'd be
be
comparing comparing the least significant digits. Like you have to be reversed to 77.
okay.
And you could just kind of work left to right, doing your algorithm. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So if we do that though, so like let's say we do that here, 6 5 is 11, we carry over the 1. Um, this would be 13, and we carry over the 1. So would this be 1 3 5? Or yeah,
One.
3 1 5.
Then what's here? 7. That's 12.
Yeah,
Plus
12
plus
plus
one is
the
13.
remainder. Yeah, so it'd be 3.
3
And
here.
then we
That's
carry over
fine.
the 1.
Okay.
And then this
Let me
would
know when I
be
can.
5 because yeah, so it'd be 3 3 5. Um, Okay. And then we just reverse it again to get the expected answer. Cool. That'll work. Okay. So yeah, instead of doing that, then I'll just go ahead and
Yeah, because it might get complicated looping from the back of each one, and they're not the same length. And
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like how would you add the totals and stuff? Loop over chars, we keep the remainder. And then I think the other thing we need to check before we move on to the next, or I guess before we add it to the result, right? Um, because we would probably also want to keep it as a like probably have a string or something and not directly add them. So we'd have like a and then we'd add. Oh, that's a lot of casting to and from though. I guess we could just either way we'd have a result um, that we would either append to. Yeah, I think we'd append to it. So we'd append whatever um, the second character is, right? So like let's say we have something that's over 10, we'd want to append or that is 10, we'd want to append the 0 and then save the remainder as 1. Um,
mm,
so in that case, I'll guess just append that, something like that. Um, and then move on to the next one. And then we should probably have a check though if there's any remainder though, right? So like before we add the remainder, we should probably have a check that's just like if remainder doesn't equal 0, we add that to our running total for these characters. So um, right, something like that. Um, and then we would probably um, if there's a then we would update the remainder as well,
yeah.
and then we would append.
Okay, I think you're close to it. Go ahead and just start coding because we have
Yeah.
less
Okay.
than 10 minutes left. And feel free when you're coding to run the code as much times as you like to just make sure that's working correctly. And you can debug by just looking at the console.
Sure. So results. Um, okay. So um, okay. Total greater than or equal to 10. Um, yeah. Actually, yeah. Actually, um, actually, I can just do this. right? Because that will, so this way we have 13. No, actually that won't work. We want the first. So it would be, um, it's the best way to grab the first number off of total. You could just divide by 10, right? Because total divided by 10 will give you the first.
Well, if the
Um,
total is greater than equal to 10, what are we using the remainder for? Wouldn't the remainder just either be 0 or 1? Like 0 if there's no carry, 1 if there is a carry?
yes, but like I guess I'm accounting for if the number could be higher. Like if it's 20 or something and we need to grab a two, we probably just don't want to assume it's a one, like if it's over 10, right? Like if we have like if we
So
calculate two numbers and it equals up to like 20, um, we would then want to make sure we grab the correct first digit, which would be the two as the remainder, right?
by remainder, do you mean the carryover? The
The
carryover
carryover,
to
yes. Yes.
well, okay. The if we since we're comparing digit by digit, the two biggest digits would be a 9, so that would at most be 18.
Okay, you're
So
right.
carryover
Yeah,
one.
I'm just
If there's one carry, if there's actually even a 1, that's 9 plus 9, 18. So the most it could be is 19.
okay. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So in that case, well, this is what we want to do then. If it equals 10, we just want to grab we just want to make it a one. It in any situation will be a one. Yeah. So 10, it'll be a one, and then yeah. Okay. Cool. I was overthinking it. Greater than or equal to 10. Remainder equals one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after that, we would then just add this to the result array. So result dot append. And then we would want to put this in a string, right? So we could do, I'm not sure if this is the correct syntax for that. Um, or I guess it would do dot join total. So it would be,
Or I think just something like this would work. Like, sorry, string total.
I'll just convert it that way. Okay.
But
That
okay,
would,
but
that
what
make,
if the total is now is like 12 or 18 or 13?
oh, right. We want to make sure to get rid of, remove the 10 from the total, or yeah, we want to remove 10 from the total. So we just do total minus equals 10. So we save the remainder and then we remove 10 to get the second digit, which is what we care about. And then after that, after all that's done, we would just return reverse, which I think is the correct method, return reverse result.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see if this runs. Too many values to unpack.
Expected to, um, too many values to unpack. Okay, let's see. This is the reason. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, so let's hold on. That'll fix that problem, but I don't think that's the problem it was complaining about.
Where is it complaining the error? Or where's the
Um,
error coming from?
it's coming from this for loop. Um, for char2, and num2. That could be the wrong syntax. Um, because too many values to unpack expected to. Okay, just to play it safe, I'll do this in an easier way. I'll just use an index instead. So for I, but if I do that, then we're gonna have to worry about error checking and empty indexes, right? Um, was my syntax wrong there? Is Or I guess I could do like a zip or something.
Okay,
Um,
so what are you trying to do here? You're trying to loop through num2 and num2 at the same time.
yeah, so I if I my assumption is correct, this takes the first character of each number.
Yeah.
So the first
I mean,
character
if you
for
wanted to do this, you'd have to zip them.
you'd have to do zip. Okay.
That would
I couldn't
probably
remember.
see. So that works. Iterate your object. I'll turn this into this. We got 1 1.
And then let's see, we're using these two. Let's see what's going wrong here. Total is greater than or equal to 10. Remainder would equal 1.
20,
How's it
20.
getting 1 from that? Zero, 4. It doesn't look like it's reversing it, right? Because that should be correct. It should be 40, but it looks like it's still in a.
Let's see. So it came out at 40 because okay, we did
Oh,
two.
do I have to add maybe a join? So like reverse result dot join something like string dot
Mm.
join.
But even if we did a join, could do. Like if we did do a join, if it's not in the right order, it's just gonna come back in the wrong order still. 0 4. Maybe try to dry run it line by line. What's happening with this 20?
Sure. So we take the first. So oh, I forgot to reverse the arrays at the beginning. That could be it.
Yeah.
Right. So um, num equals reversed num, which I think is the correct method. I'm just spelling it wrong. Yeah. Num and then num2 would equal reverse. Let's see, run that. Worse. There we go.
Nice. What if we did like 2 4 0?
It's missing the 2. Let's see why. Oh, because 2 would be the last thing we go over, right? So we reverse it. We do 0 4.
Like, pretend we even had 2. This should equal 242. So I
Yeah, it's
think
not.
zip is just stops when one of the arrays is done.
One of these is empty. Okay. Yeah, so maybe it would have been better to just use a indices and then
Hmm.
just check if there is a number there before doing a
Yeah,
calculation on it. I
yeah. Okay, we're
think
pretty
that's
much
the
out of
safest
time.
way.
Just wanted to also save time for like the debrief. How do you think you did? How was that for you?
Oh, I did awful, man. I so I've been focusing on binary trees and other stuff, so like these two questions kind of blindsided me a little bit. I definitely think I could have done better, um, especially on that first question.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about let's talk about where we could improve here. Um, come down to like line 99. I think one area would be just simulating in the comments a little bit better. So that'll help you jog your memory. So like how I did it with just having the pointers. Maybe when you did the
Hmm.
other ones, you're saying we're gonna swap them, but then you weren't actually just swapping them.
Swapping
I was
them.
sort of like actually go through the comments and sort of simulate what's happening, because that will help you. That will help gauge or help you understand how the array is being modified.
Yeah, that
So I
makes
think
sense.
yeah. So when you're simulating, instead of saying it out loud, try to write it down or try to show in the comments how it's working. So that might jog your imagination on like how to fix it. With when it comes to the two pointers, you wanted to put one pointer in the front and one pointer in the back, and that's one way to do it. But if that doesn't work, try other ways, like maybe two pointers at the front, two pointers in the back. Those are pretty much the only variations of where to put the pointers as well. So just yeah, trying all the different possibilities there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think yeah,
Yeah,
once you got
yeah. When
there,
you, I'm
oh go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, I could tell it was a two-pointer solution, but after the once I figured out the beginning and end pointers wouldn't work, my brain
Hmm.
kind of just like I could not think of another way of doing it for some
Yeah,
reason.
no, that
Um,
happens honestly when you really think it should be some way, and then all of a sudden you like that way doesn't work out for you, and then you just get into panic mode. That happens a lot of
yeah,
the times, and
that's
I
exactly
could
what
I could
happened.
tell like it affected the way you did your second question too. Like when you get stumped on the first question, sometimes it's hard to do the second question.
Yeah, I tried to shake it off and be like, okay, just act like it didn't happen, but yeah, it's hard to not let it kind of like affect your confidence after the first one went so badly.
Yeah, I think let's look at the code. The code could also be simplified too a little bit, like having the start pointer and the second pointer. Usually, so for this one, you don't really need to have because you have like the while loop and then the while loop under. Pretty much all you kind of need to do is have like a pointer here or move them from have one point have them both at the start. But then you could start them both at the same index and then just keep one sitting back or have one pointer pretty much telling you where the next available slot to swap with would be. So let's
Mhm.
call this one next available with an A. So we could just move one pointer from left to right. So since this is a zero, we move it forward. Since this is a one, we just swap one, zero, and then we move the next available up here. And then we just keep moving three and zero.
Yeah, I definitely overthought it because
Yeah.
usually the way I do pointers is I let I be my front pointer, and then once I has reached over a certain amount, I set the beginning pointer. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I definitely could have coded this better. I think at this point though, I was like
Yeah.
freaking out a little.
But
So I was trying
honestly,
to
yeah,
keep,
the way that I would do it when I did it when I first started was similar to the way you did it here, where I would try to have another while loop to find the next available pointer that's not zero, and then manage some other pointer. But then what? It's good to get it working that way, but sometimes it overcomplicates. So you can look at
yeah, for sure.
so with a lot of these ones of these questions, you could find ways to sort of simplify it by handling some of the edge cases. For example, the edge case here when it comes to super or when it comes to digits not being the same size could also be simplified a lot. Like for example, we have 3 3 3 3 3 3, right? These are not they're not the same size, so what you could just do is similar just have an index here. We could be
What
like
line are you on?
or line 57.
Okay.
So one way to handle all the edge cases here is we start index at 0. We know that num1 and num2 are not the same size. So what we would do is actually we'll just loop for the we'll probably just loop for the maximum of num1 and num2, right? And then we could just get
That makes sense. Yeah.
car1, car2, and then we could do something if the index is greater than the length of num1. Sort of use a ternary operation. If
Yeah.
the index is greater, else actually grab from num the index. So different ways to simplify that like that. So car one. You see what I did there to just make sure that we could handle cases of different lengths.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
yeah, finding those are just ways to simplify the code and avoid bugs in the interview. But it's all You'll figure out these little tricks the more you practice.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
fair.
cool.
Yeah, I don't. So, do you have time for a couple of questions? I know it's
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
late.
No, no. What questions do you
Uh,
have?
so I guess first question is like, I don't know, man. I feel cooked. Like, I'm going for mid-level roles,
Mm,
but I'm going like this is kind of like, in a normal role, I wouldn't have to worry about is my leak code skills high enough? But I feel like I'm still, even though I've been practicing and working on it a lot, I'm still super behind on what a mid-level should be, especially if I'm trying to get a job in the Bay Area.
mm.
I don't know.
I,
What are
yeah.
your thoughts on that?
How have you been practicing? What was your strategy?
Um, so a couple of ways. I'm in like have you heard of formation.dev?
Yeah, I heard of them.
Yeah. So I'm in formation. I'm also in Esco's group, which is like for Black engineers. He's like a senior engineer in Airbnb, and he does
Nice.
like study system design groups and
Mm,
algorithm groups. So I'm in both of those, and then I just try to do LeetCode,
yeah.
at least 2 or 3 LeetCode questions a day,
Mm,
and then I have at least 1 or 2 mock interviews scheduled every week.
wow. Yeah, that's a lot. But how do you practice the lead code? Do you just take random questions and try to solve it?
Um, yeah, mostly either that, I'll pick a random question, or I'll pick something that I think I need to work on. So lately I've been focusing on binary trees, trying to make sure I get them down, BFS and DFS, etc.
Yeah, I would just that's the way I would sort of go about it. I would work topic by topic or data structure by data structure. So for example, I would do a bunch of array questions, then I'll do a bunch of stack questions. So I don't really need to figure out what the algorithm is. I just need to be able to know how to apply that algorithm to solve a problem and then write the code fast or write the code well. So I'll do a bunch of stack questions, then some queue questions, then some binary tree, then some linked list. And then I'll move on from working on data structure or I'll move from working on data structure to pattern by pattern. So then I'll move to maybe like the two pointers and then I'll move on to heaps, etc. But I think
Mhm.
that just helps you gain all the different tools in your toolbox so that when you receive a random question, you kind of have the foundation to solve that question and it's not like you're going to have to come up with an algorithm on the spot to solve that problem. You'll have all the tools in your toolbox to solve the problem. It's more just figuring out which one to apply to that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I've gotten to the point where I can see, or I have a pretty good idea of guessing what the solution would be, whether it's 2 pointers or something else. It's just implementing. I'm still kind of like so on. I try to write a plan so I don't get too lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it still needs some work.
Do you time yourself when you are practicing?
Yeah, I do. If I take more than 45 minutes, I'll usually just stop and look at the solution and then try again another
Yeah.
time.
I would even drop it to 30 minutes.
Okay,
Unless it's a
that
hard
makes sense.
question. If it's an easy question, do because you spent a lot of time actually planning it out, which is good, but in a interview situation, you would have went over and not finished in time. So
Right.
I would just improve the pace and don't get just make sure that even from the start you're working at a fast enough pace. So for easy questions, I'll drop it to 30, medium questions maybe 45, and then as you
Mm.
get better, continue to make the constraints shorter.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Um, I've been asking people that work in Fang a lot about this, but like I'd love to hear your opinion. Like, if your priority is work-life balance, do you think Fang is reasonable or realistic to go for, or should I just try to go for maybe something outside of Fang? Um, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
For
what are your
me,
thoughts?
honestly,
Because
I've worked at startups before. So I worked at super early stage startup, then a unicorn company, then now a fan company. So I would say the one that it really all depends on the company. A lot of startups will actually make you work really hard because they're just starting up, and then there's so much business pressure to get things done, and there's so much
right.
visibility. there's so much visibility to the point that you know every engineer and what they've produced in the last month, 2 months. So it's really hard to hide. For the unicorn companies, the one that I worked at was really had bad work life balance, but everyone knew joining. Go, everyone knew through blind, and it was just known for a company that works you hard. But some, I would say at fan companies, they won't work you as hard as an early stage startup or a unicorn. From my experience and what I've read online,
Okay.
but they'll work you harder than a public company who's not Fang. For example, a bank. I've heard the
Yeah.
banks are really chill.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, my first job was at a continuing education company.
Yeah.
It was
So it really
super
depends
chill.
on the company and the industry. So if you're working at an AI company, if you're in Fang AI, they're gonna work you really hard. If you're in a startup AI, they're gonna work you really hard. Really depends on the industry, as well.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, man, it's hard for me because I've been doing this, like I quit my job last year. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to like really take this risk, but man, progress is going slow. I feel like I'm still not ready enough, but I'll keep pushing.
Yeah.
Like that's all I can do, right?
Let's do
Just
this
keep
again
pushing.
at some point. You're just gonna get better from here. Honestly, you have what it takes to do well in the interview. You have this right process. It's more just
Mhm.
cycling through the ideas faster. As in, okay, that one didn't work. Let me try moving the pointers from the front. Maybe move the pointers from the back, etc. And then just implementing the code. I think you have the right process. It's just more studying. You only did
Okay.
75 questions. When I only did 75 questions, I could barely do well in the interview too. Only when I got to over 150 was I really starting to do well in interviews. Like I think around
Okay.
200. I think once you pass over 100 or 150, you'll start to see it change, and it's all just practice. At the end of the day,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll keep pushing. Like, last year I thought I would never be able to do this, so
yeah,
I'm trying to defeat the imposter syndrome, right? And keep
yeah,
pushing and hopefully I'll get there one day. But yeah, I'd love to do this again. It's been awesome talking with you. Is it cool? Do you have a LinkedIn? Can I send you like, can
yeah,
we
for
connect
sure.
on there and
Yeah,
stuff
let's
as
connect
well?
on
I
LinkedIn and
know I'm in your
talk.
Discord.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll send you my email, and then, or I mean, I'll send it to you through email because I already have your email. But yeah, thanks for coming
Okay.
out. That was fun. I'll catch you
Yeah,
again.
thank you, man. Really appreciate it. I look forward to doing it again
All right, see ya. Have a good night.
later.